Hello students, welcome back to my second video on enthalpy of chapter 6 thermodynamics. In this video, I will explain what enthalpy change of a reaction means. Then I will talk about a few different types of enthalpy of reactions. So, shall we move into the topic? Enthalpy change of a reaction or reaction enthalpy. In a chemical reaction, reactants are converted into products and it is written simply as reactants giving products. Okay, now what is the definition for reaction enthalpy? It is simply the energy change or the enthalpy change that accompanies a chemical reaction. Okay, now it is represented as delta H with the subscript R. Okay, enthalpy of a reaction is nothing but the difference between enthalpies of products and reactants. Okay, suppose if there are more than one reactant and product in the chemical reaction, then how will you find out the enthalpy of reaction? It is equal to the difference between sum of enthalpies of all the products minus sum of enthalpies of all the reactants involved in the chemical reaction. Okay, we can write it mathematically like this. Okay, here summation that is delta RH enthalpy of reaction is equal to sigma AI H products minus sigma BI H reactants. Here H products and H reactants indicate the enthalpies of products and reactants respectively. AI and BI denote stoichiometric coefficients of products and reactants respectively in the balanced chemical equation. Okay, and here the symbol sigma denotes summation. Okay, now let us look at an example. We have methane reacting with 2 moles of oxygen to produce carbon dioxide and 2 moles of water. How will we find out the enthalpy of such a reaction? We will write the formula. Okay, and then we will write HM. Here HM denotes molar enthalpy. Okay, molar enthalpy means we are considering this balanced equation in terms of molar equation. Okay, we are considering this as a molar equation and we are expressing each reactant and product in terms of moles. We are not considering them as molecules but in terms of moles. Okay, so here 1 mole of methane reacts with 2 moles of oxygen to produce 1 mole of carbon dioxide and 2 moles of water. Okay, and we must write the stoichiometric coefficients of the corresponding products and reactants in this expression. Okay, so molar enthalpy of 1 mole of carbon dioxide in the gaseous state plus molar enthalpy of 2 moles of water in the liquid state minus molar enthalpy of 1 mole of methane in the gaseous state plus molar enthalpy of 2 moles of oxygen in the gaseous state. So on solving these terms by substituting the corresponding values, we get the enthalpy of reaction. Having learnt about reaction enthalpy, let us learn about standard enthalpy of reactions. Enthalpy of a reaction depends on the conditions under which that reaction is carried out. So it becomes necessary to specify certain standard conditions in order to compare the enthalpies of reactions. Standard enthalpy of a reaction is defined as the enthalpy change for a reaction when all its participating substances are in their pure states. Okay, when all the substances participating in a reaction are in their pure states, the enthalpy change for that reaction is called standard enthalpy of a reaction. Okay, now according to thermodynamic conventions, a substance is said to be in its pure state when it is present in the pure form at a pressure of 1 bar. Okay, this is very important. Only when a substance is present in its pure form at 1 bar pressure, it is said to be in its standard state. Now, this is the definition for standard state of a substance. Okay, the standard state of a substance at a specified temperature is its pure form at 1 bar pressure. Okay, so when a substance is present in its pure state at 1 bar pressure, it is said to be in its standard state. For example, standard state of liquid ethanol at 298 Kelvin is pure liquid ethanol at 1 bar. Likewise, standard state of solid iron at 500 Kelvin is pure iron at 1 bar. Okay, standard conditions are denoted by adding this subscript to the symbol of enthalpy change, that is delta H. Okay, so it is written like this. Okay, so this is done to indicate that enthalpy changes are taking place at standard conditions during the progress of a reaction. So if you find delta H naught written with this superscript near a balanced chemical equation, it indicates that the reaction progressed under standard conditions. Okay, now let us move on to enthalpy changes during phase transformations. Okay, we know that energy is required to convert a solid into a liquid into a gas, and a solid into a gas. So these processes are collectively known as phase changes or phase transformations. Okay, so phase transformations always involve energy changes. Okay, the enthalpy change involved in the process of fusion during which a solid substance is transformed into a liquid is named as enthalpy of fusion. Clear? Likewise, the enthalpy change involved in the process of vaporization during which a liquid substance is transformed into a gaseous substance is named as enthalpy of vaporization. Similarly, the enthalpy change involved in the process of sublimation during which a solid substance is transformed directly into its gaseous state is named as enthalpy of sublimation. Okay, so with this knowledge, let us learn about standard enthalpy of fusion, also called molar enthalpy of fusion, standard enthalpy of vaporization, also called molar enthalpy of vaporization, and about standard enthalpy of sublimation. Okay, so these terms are indicated by these symbols. Standard enthalpy of fusion. It is denoted by the term delta H naught of fusion. Okay, now what is standard enthalpy of fusion? The enthalpy change that accompanies melting of 1 mole of a solid substance in standard state is called standard enthalpy of fusion. Okay, that is, it is the enthalpy change that occurs when 1 mole of a solid substance transforms into its liquid state at its melting point. Clear? Note that the standard enthalpy of fusion is also called molar enthalpy of fusion, as the enthalpy of fusion corresponds to the melting of 1 mole of solid. Okay, since it corresponds to the melting of 1 mole of solid, standard enthalpy of fusion is also called molar enthalpy of fusion. For example, let us take the case of ice. Okay, we know that ice requires heat for melting, and ice absorbs heat energy from the surroundings in order to melt. We also know that ice melts at constant pressure. Note that 1 mole of ice undergoes phase transition to the liquid state at constant temperature. Okay, that is both freezing point and melting point of ice are the same, which is equal to 0 degree Celsius, that is 273 Kelvin in the Kelvin scale. Okay, now standard enthalpy of fusion when 1 mole of water in the solid state, that is ice, is converted to 1 mole of water in the liquid state is 6 kilojoules. Clear? This means that when 1 mole of ice changes into water at its melting point, that is 273 Kelvin, 6 kilojoules of heat will be absorbed. Clear? So, melting of a solid is an endothermic process. Okay, hence all enthalpy of fusion values would be positive. As freezing is reverse of fusion, the enthalpy of freezing has the same value as the enthalpy of fusion. Okay, their magnitudes will be the same, but note that enthalpy of freezing will have an opposite sign. For example, the enthalpy change that corresponds to the conversion of 1 mole of water in the liquid state to 1 mole of water in the solid state is equal to minus 6 kilojoules. Okay, that is the standard enthalpy of freezing, which corresponds to the enthalpy change when 1 mole of liquid water freezes, is given by minus 6 kilojoules. Clear? Remember, this is the reverse of fusion. Okay, the standard enthalpy of fusion, which corresponds to the enthalpy change when 1 mole of ice melts, would be 6 kilojoules. Okay, so their magnitudes will be the same, but they will have opposite signs. Standard enthalpy of vaporization. It is denoted by delta H naught of vaporization. Amount of heat required to vaporize 1 mole of a liquid at constant temperature and under standard pressure, that is 1 bar, is called its standard enthalpy of vaporization. It is also called molar enthalpy of vaporization, as the enthalpy of vaporization corresponds to 1 mole of a liquid. Clear? For example, let us take the case of water in the liquid state. Okay, we know that water needs heat for vaporization. The energy change that occurs when 1 mole of water in the liquid state is converted to 1 mole of water in the gaseous state equals to plus 40.79 kilojoules at a constant temperature of 373 Kelvin, that is 100 degrees Celsius. Clear? Positive sign is written because heat is absorbed by 1 mole of water in the liquid state to undergo a phase transition to the gaseous state. Clear? In other words, the amount of heat absorbed by 1 mole of water in the liquid state to transform into steam, that is gaseous state or vapor state, amounts to plus 40.79 kilojoules. Okay, so the enthalpy of vaporization of water is thus written as plus 40.79 kilojoules per mole. Standard enthalpy of sublimation. This is denoted by the term delta H naught of sublimation. In order to understand this, you must know what sublimation is. Sublimation is a process in which a solid changes into gaseous state directly below its normal melting point. Okay, now what's the definition for standard enthalpy of sublimation? It is nothing but the enthalpy change when 1 mole of a solid substance sublimes at a constant temperature and under standard pressure, which is 1 bar. So what is a standard enthalpy of sublimation? It is the enthalpy change, or in other words, energy change that occurs when 1 mole of a substance in the solid state is directly converted into its gaseous state at a constant temperature and 1 bar pressure. Okay, for example, the standard enthalpy of sublimation for the conversion of 1 mole of carbon dioxide in the solid state to 1 mole of carbon dioxide in the gaseous state is 25.2 kilojoules. Okay, at 195 Kelvin and at 1 bar pressure. This means that the change in energy accompanying the direct conversion of 1 mole of solid carbon dioxide to gaseous state is equal to 25.2 kilojoules. Okay, so solid carbon dioxide, which is dry ice, sublimes at 195 Kelvin. We can also say that 25.2 kilojoules of heat energy is absorbed when 1 mole of solid carbon dioxide transforms into its gaseous state. Clear? Now, another example is that of naphthalene, which is an organic solid. Okay, naphthalene sublimes, or it transforms into its gaseous state very slowly. Okay, the standard enthalpy of sublimation of naphthalene is plus 73 kilojoules per mole. Okay, note that enthalpy of sublimation is related to the enthalpy of fusion and enthalpy of vaporization, as standard enthalpy of sublimation is equal to standard enthalpy of fusion plus standard enthalpy of vaporization. Clear? This is because sublimation is nothing but fusion and vaporization carried out in one step. Okay, so it is possible to arrive at the value of standard enthalpy of sublimation of a substance if we add its enthalpy of fusion and enthalpy of vaporization values. Students, remember that the magnitude of enthalpy change for a phase transition depends on the strength of intermolecular forces in the substance which undergoes phase transitions. That means the value of delta H, okay, enthalpy change is written as delta H. So the value of delta H for a phase transition depends on the strength of interactions between molecules of the substance which undergoes phase transitions. Now look at this sentence. Standard enthalpy of vaporization of water is much larger than the standard enthalpy of vaporization of acetone, which is an organic liquid. Now, what is the reason for this? In water, there is extensive hydrogen bonding between water molecules which holds them tightly together in the liquid phase. But in acetone, the strength of dipole-dipole interactions between its molecules is very weak. Hence, molecules of acetone are not held tightly together in the liquid phase. Okay, that is the reason why it requires less heat to vaporize 1 mole of acetone than it does to vaporize 1 mole of water. And this explains why acetone vaporizes quickly than water. Now, let us do problem number 6.7, which is already solved in your NCERT textbook. A swimmer coming out from a pool is covered with a film of water weighing 18 grams. How much heat must be supplied to evaporate this water at 298 Kelvin? Calculate the internal energy of vaporization at 298 Kelvin and the standard enthalpy of vaporization for water at 298 Kelvin is 44.01 kilojoules per mole. Now, we know the swimmer's body is covered with a film of water that weighs 18 grams. Now, what is the physical state of water here? It is in liquid state, isn't it? We are asked to calculate the amount of heat that is to be supplied in order to vaporize 18 grams of water. That means we are going to calculate the amount of heat required to convert water which is in the liquid state to water in the gaseous state, that is into water vapor. Now look at the question. We are provided with the standard enthalpy of vaporization for water at 298 Kelvin. What is the information that you get from this data? It tells you that 44.01 kilojoules of heat is required to vaporize 1 mole of water in the liquid state at constant temperature, that is 298 Kelvin, and pressure, which is atmospheric pressure, that is 44.01 kilojoules of heat is required to convert 1 mole of water in the liquid state at constant temperature, which is 298 Kelvin, and constant atmospheric pressure to 1 mole of water vapor, in other words, steam. Okay, so let us write the equation for the phase change undergone by water according to the situation given. That is, 1 mole of water in the liquid state on vaporization is converted to 1 mole of water in the gaseous state, or 1 mole of water vapor, in other words, steam. Okay, now we know the amount of heat required to convert 1 mole of water in the liquid state to 1 mole of water in the gaseous state. How much is it? It amounts to 44.01 kilojoules. Okay, so in the situation provided, we have 18 grams of water, right? So let's convert it to moles. Okay, how would we do that? We would divide the given mass of water by the molar mass of water. Okay, we know molar mass of water is 18 grams. Okay, so on dividing the given mass of water, which is 18 grams by 18 grams per mole, that is molar mass of water, we get 1 mole as the answer. In the next step, we can simply multiply the number of moles, that is N, with the standard enthalpy of vaporization of water. So how many moles of water is there in 18 grams? It is 1 mole. Okay, 1 mole into 44.01 kilojoules per mole gives you 44.01 kilojoule as the answer. Now, we are also asked to calculate the internal energy of vaporization at 298 Kelvin. How would we denote the internal energy? We denote internal energy using the term capital U, isn't it? But since we are asked to calculate the internal energy of vaporization, it deals with phase transformation of water from its liquid to vapor state. Okay, therefore this involves a change in the internal energy of water. So we will use the term delta U. Clear? We are provided with the standard enthalpy of vaporization, which is delta H. Okay, so which equation will you choose to solve this problem? You will choose delta H equal to delta U plus P delta V, as it relates the internal energy change of a system with the enthalpy change of a system. Okay, now since we are asked to calculate the internal energy of vaporization, we will bring delta U to the left hand side and delta H to the right hand side. On doing that, the equation changes to delta U equal to delta H minus P delta V. Here P is the constant atmospheric pressure and delta V is the change in volume. Okay, since we are going to calculate the enthalpy of vaporization, internal energy of vaporization, we would write these terms as delta U of vaporization minus standard enthalpy of vaporization minus P delta V. Okay, but note that in the equation corresponding to the phase change, we have water in the gaseous state on the product side. That is water vapor, or in other words, steam. So this equation is not suitable for calculating the internal energy of vaporization since we have product in the gaseous state. Therefore, let us assume water vapor or steam to behave as an ideal gas and use this equation for calculating the internal energy of vaporization. Okay, so internal energy of vaporization equal to standard enthalpy of vaporization minus delta Ng RT. Okay, we are writing this term as a standard enthalpy of vaporization because this is the data which is provided to us in the question. Otherwise, we will simply write delta H of vaporization. We will not write the superscript otherwise. Clear? Now, delta Ng, which it is equal to the difference between the number of moles of gaseous products and gaseous reactants involved in the reaction. Okay. Now, what is the number of moles of gaseous products? We have 1 mole of water in the gaseous state on the product side. Remember, so we write 1 here. Okay. Now, what about the number of moles of gaseous reactants? We have 1 mole of water in the liquid state on the reactant side. It is not in the gaseous state. So, we will write this term to be equal to 0. So 1 minus 0 gives you 1 mole as the value of delta Ng. Okay, now the value of gas constant R is written as 8.314 joule per Kelvin per mole. The temperature, value of temperature given in the situation is 298 Kelvin and the standard enthalpy of vaporization of water at 298 Kelvin is 44.01 kilojoules per mole. On substituting all these values in equation 2, we get 44.01 kilojoule minus 2477.572 joule. Okay, now note that the first term has kilojoule as the unit and the second term has only joule as the unit. Okay, in order to subtract the second term from the first term, we should have a similar unit here. Okay, we should have kilo here. Okay, only then we can subtract the second term from the first term. So, therefore, in order to introduce kilo, which is small k in the second term, what we do is that we multiply and divide the second term by 10 power 3, which corresponds to kilo. Okay, the value of k is 10 power 3, which is 1000. Okay, so we both divide and multiply this term with 10 power 3. Okay, and in the second step, what we do, since 10 power 3 corresponds to kilo, we keep it as such. Okay, and we bring the denominator to the numerator side. So what will happen? 10 power 3, 1 by 10 power 3 is written as 10 power minus 3. Okay, so on multiplying 2477.572 with 10 power minus 3, we have 2.48 as the value. Okay, and since 10 power 3 corresponds to the term, that is kilo, we write it as such. Now this becomes possible to subtract 2.48 kilojoule from the first term. Okay, on doing the subtraction, we get 41.53 kilojoule as the enthalpy of vaporization of water at 298 Kelvin. Now, let us do another example problem. A glass vessel after washing contains 54 grams of water in it. How much heat must be supplied to evaporate this water? Okay, here the standard enthalpy of vaporization of water is given as 40.79 kilojoules per mole. So, we are asked to calculate the amount of heat required to convert water from the liquid state to vapor state. Okay, and the standard enthalpy of vaporization in this problem is given as 40.79 kilojoules per mole. That is, it means 40.79 kilojoules of heat is required to convert 1 mole. Per mole means 1 mole. Okay, so this much amount of heat is required to convert 1 mole of water in the liquid state to 1 mole of water in the gaseous state at constant temperature and pressure. So, let us write the reaction for the phase change undergone by water according to the situation provided to us. 1 mole of water in the liquid state on vaporization is converted to 1 mole of water in the gaseous state. And this phase transformation is made possible when 40.79 kilojoules of heat is supplied to 1 mole of water in the liquid state. Okay, now look at the question. We have 54 grams of water, right? So first of all, we must know how many moles amounts to 54 grams of water. Once we know the number of moles of water in 54 grams, we can simply multiply that value with the standard enthalpy of vaporization value in order to know how much heat is required to convert that many moles of water in the liquid state to vapor state. Clear? Therefore, in order to calculate the number of moles of water in 54 grams, we divide the given mass of water, which is 54 grams, with the molar mass of water, that is 18 grams per mole. Okay, on solving, we get 3 moles as the answer. Now, in order to calculate the amount of heat supplied to evaporate 54 grams of water, we multiply the number of moles of water in 54 grams with the standard enthalpy of vaporization. On solving, we get 122.37 kilojoules as the answer. So, this much amount of heat is required to convert or to evaporate 54 grams of water. Let us now learn about another type of reaction enthalpy, which is standard enthalpy of formation. It is denoted by the symbol delta H naught with the subscript F. Okay, note that there is greater chance of getting confused with the symbols of standard enthalpy of fusion and standard enthalpy of formation. Okay, the symbol of standard enthalpy of fusion is delta H naught with the subscript FUS. Remember, I taught you about that when I explained to you about standard enthalpy of fusion. Okay, the symbol of standard enthalpy of formation is delta H naught with the subscript F. Okay, so don't confuse both. Delta H naught with the subscript FUS stands for standard enthalpy of fusion, and delta H naught with the subscript F stands for standard enthalpy of formation. Okay, it indicates that 1 mole of a compound is formed in its standard state from its constituent elements, which are in their most stable states of aggregation. I will explain about that later. Okay, so what is standard enthalpy of formation? It is defined as the enthalpy change that occurs during the formation of 1 mole of a compound from its constituent elements in their most stable states of aggregation. Okay, now look at this definition. When we are talking about the standard enthalpy of formation, we are talking in terms of only 1 mole of a compound. We are talking about the formation of only 1 mole of a compound. So this is very important. So register this in your mind. Okay. And so what do you understand from this term, that is standard enthalpy of formation? It is nothing but the enthalpy change, or in other words, it is the heat change or energy change that occurs when 1 mole of a compound is formed from its constituent elements, which are in their most stable states of aggregation. Okay. Now, the compound that I am talking about here is formed from its constituent elements. Okay, the compound is not formed from other compounds. It is formed only from its constituent elements. Clear? So, keep this also in your mind. And the standard enthalpy of formation is also called molar enthalpy of formation. Okay, why? Since 1 mole of a compound is formed from its constituent elements, which are in their pure states, we call standard enthalpy of formation as molar enthalpy of formation. Okay, and what about the constituent elements from which 1 mole of compound is formed? all the constituent elements are in their most stable states of aggregation when we are talking about standard enthalpy of formation. Clear? So here the most stable states of aggregation are also known as reference states. Now let us learn about reference state. Reference state of an element is its most stable state of aggregation at 25 degrees Celsius and 1 bar pressure. Okay, so when an element is present in its most stable state of aggregation at 25 degrees Celsius and 1 bar pressure, we call it the reference state of that element. Okay, and here note that the conditions are fixed. Okay, the temperature is fixed to be 25 degrees Celsius and pressure is fixed to be 1 bar. Okay, so let us see what state of aggregation means. Okay, we know there are different allotropic forms of elements. For example, if you take sulfur, it exists as rhombic sulfur and monoclinic sulfur. Similarly, you have carbon, which is present in the form of graphite, in the form of diamond, and so on. And we all will be familiar with the structure of graphite and diamond. Graphite has a layered structure in which carbon atoms are linked to each other by means of sigma bonds. Hence, graphite gets its layered structure due to the aggregation of carbon atoms by nature. Similarly, diamond gets its three-dimensional structure due to the aggregation of carbon atoms by nature. So, in graphite and diamond, carbon atoms exist in different states of aggregation by nature, imparting characteristic shapes to these allotropic forms of carbon. Okay, now out of these allotropic forms of carbon, which one is the most stable state of aggregation? Graphite is the allotrope of carbon that exists in its purest and most stable state of aggregation at 25 degrees Celsius and 1 bar pressure. Okay, that is the reference state of carbon at 25 degrees Celsius and 1 bar pressure is graphite. Okay, because it is the most stable state of aggregation that can exist at 25 degrees Celsius and 1 bar pressure if you take the different allotropic forms of carbon. Okay, so this is very important as we will be writing graphite as the most stable state of aggregation of carbon when we write the equation corresponding to the formation of 1 mole of a carbon compound in problems that you would be dealing with in this chapter. Okay, so by definition, the reference state of dihydrogen gas is H2. Okay, by nature, hydrogen exists in its molecular state. Similarly, for dioxygen gas, the reference state is O2. Okay, because oxygen gas exists as a molecule. Okay, it exists in its molecular state. Similarly, the reference state of carbon is graphite. I just explained about that. And for sulfur, the most stable state of aggregation at 25 degrees Celsius and 1 bar pressure is rhombic form. Okay, by convention, the standard enthalpy of formation of an element in reference state, that is its most stable state of aggregation, is taken as 0. Clear? The standard enthalpy of formation of hydrogen gas is 0 since hydrogen is present as a gas at 25 degrees Celsius and 1 bar pressure. This is the most stable state at which hydrogen can exist. Okay. Now the enthalpy of formation of carbon, that is graphite, is 0. Okay, the standard enthalpy of formation of chlorine gas is also 0 since chlorine exists as a Cl2 molecule by nature. Okay, similarly, the enthalpy of formation of rhombic sulfur is 0 because this is the most stable state of aggregation of the sulfur allotrope, which is rhombic sulfur. Okay, you would be applying this rule when you would be dealing with related problems in this chapter. So this rule, that is the standard enthalpy of formation of an element in its reference state, would be 0. Here are some important points about enthalpies of reactions and enthalpies of formations. The first point is that the standard molar enthalpy of formation, that is delta H naught with the subscript F, is just a special case of standard enthalpy of reaction where 1 mole of a compound, that is product, is formed from its constituent elements. Now what do you understand from this? Standard enthalpy of formation basically denotes standard enthalpy of the reaction. Okay, it is a type of standard enthalpy of a reaction. But instead of writing standard enthalpy of reaction, we specify the enthalpy changes of those reactions which involve the formation of 1 mole of a compound from its constituent elements which are in their reference states as standard enthalpies of formation. Okay, standard enthalpy of formation of a reaction is also called standard molar enthalpy of formation, as it involves the enthalpy change during the formation of only 1 mole of the compound, okay, from its constituent elements which are in their reference states. For example, hydrogen in the gaseous state reacts with oxygen to produce 1 mole of water. Since 1 mole of water is formed from its constituent elements which are in their reference states, we write the enthalpy change associated with the reaction not as standard enthalpy of reaction but as standard enthalpy of formation. Okay, the standard enthalpy of formation of 1 mole of water from its constituent elements in their reference states is minus 285.85 kilojoules. Okay, it tells us that formation of 1 mole of water from its constituent elements in their reference states involves the release of minus 285.8 kilojoules of heat energy. Okay, we can also interpret standard enthalpy of formation for this reaction as the enthalpy change that occurs when 1 mole of water is formed from its constituent elements which are in their reference states. Clear? Now look at the second example. Here graphite reacts with hydrogen and oxygen to produce 1 mole of ethanol. Since 1 mole of ethanol is formed from its constituent elements which are in their reference states, we write the enthalpy change associated with this reaction not as standard enthalpy of reaction but as standard enthalpy of formation. Okay, graphite is the reference state of carbon. Okay, it is the state of aggregation in which carbon is most stable at 25 degrees Celsius and 1 bar. Hence, we write graphite within the parenthesis. Clear? Hydrogen and oxygen gas exist as dihydrogen and dioxygen in nature. Okay, they are in their reference states. Clear? Therefore, the standard enthalpy of formation of 1 mole of ethanol from its constituent elements which are in their reference states is minus 277.7 kilojoules per mole. From this value, we understand that the formation of 1 mole of ethanol involves the release of minus 277.7 kilojoules of heat energy. We can also interpret standard enthalpy of formation for this reaction as the enthalpy change that occurs when 1 mole of ethanol is formed from its constituent elements in their reference states. Okay, and that is equal to minus 277.7 kilojoule. Okay, now look at the third example. Graphite reacts with hydrogen to produce 1 mole of methane, and the standard enthalpy of formation associated with this reaction is minus 74.81 kilojoules per mole. Note that the enthalpy change for the exothermic reaction between hydrogen and bromine producing 2 moles of hydrogen bromide does not represent the standard enthalpy of formation. Clear? But this represents the standard enthalpy of reaction. Okay, it represents the standard enthalpy change during the reaction. This is because in this case, 2 moles of hydrogen bromide instead of 1 mole of hydrogen bromide is formed from its constituent elements. Clear? So students, keep in mind that the enthalpy of formation involves the formation of 1 mole of the product alone. It does not involve the formation of 2 moles of a product. Okay, so what we are looking at is standard enthalpy of reaction and not standard enthalpy of formation. So we can relate standard enthalpy change of a reaction with the standard enthalpy of formation as delta H naught with the subscript R to be equal to 2 times delta H naught with the subscript F. So a standard enthalpy change of a reaction is equal to twice the amount of standard enthalpy of formation. Okay. So what we do is we divide all stoichiometric coefficients in the balanced chemical equation for the formation of hydrogen bromide by 2. Okay, only then we will have 1 mole here. Okay, so we divide all the stoichiometric coefficients in the balanced chemical equation here by 2. Okay, note that while we divide all the stoichiometric coefficients of reactants and the product in the balanced equation for the formation of the product, we must not forget to divide the value of standard enthalpy change of the reaction with the same number. Okay, that is 2 in this case. Clear? Therefore, when divided by 2, we have half mole of oxygen reacting with half mole of bromine to produce 1 mole of hydrogen bromide. Clear? Now, since the final equation involves the formation of 1 mole of the product, we write the enthalpy change associated with this reaction not as enthalpy, standard enthalpy change of the reaction, but as standard enthalpy of formation. Clear? And you can see that the standard enthalpy of formation is half of that of the standard enthalpy change of the reaction. Okay, its value is minus 36.4 upon dividing the standard enthalpy change of the reaction value by 2. Clear? Now look at the next point. Although 1 mole of calcium carbonate is formed by the reaction of calcium oxide and carbon dioxide, the enthalpy change, okay, delta H, the enthalpy change for the formation of 1 mole of calcium carbonate does not represent standard enthalpy of formation here. Clear? This is because calcium carbonate is not formed from its constituent elements. That is, it is not formed by the reaction of calcium with graphite and dioxygen. Clear? But by the reaction between two compounds, which are calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. That is why the enthalpy change associated with the formation of 1 mole of calcium carbonate is not standard enthalpy of formation, but it is written as standard enthalpy change of reaction. Okay, and its value is found to be equal to minus 178.3 kilojoules per mole. What is the importance of standard enthalpies of formation? If you know the standard enthalpies of formation of each reactant and product involved in a chemical reaction, you can very easily calculate the standard enthalpy change of any given reaction. Therefore, delta R H naught, that is standard enthalpy change of any reaction, can be calculated by using this general formula, that is sum of standard enthalpies of formation of products minus sum of standard enthalpies of formation of reactants. It can be written mathematically as delta R H naught equal to sigma AI into standard enthalpy of formation of products minus sigma Bi into standard enthalpy of formation of reactants. Okay, where AI and Bi are the stoichiometric coefficients of products and reactants in the balanced chemical equation. And here sigma denotes summation. Students, imagine yourself as a chemical engineer and suppose you want to predict how much heat is required to decompose calcium carbonate to lime and carbon dioxide with all the substances in their standard states. Okay, firstly what you would do is that you would write a balanced chemical equation corresponding to this process. So your equation would be calcium carbonate in the solid state produces calcium oxide in the solid state along with carbon dioxide gas. Okay, so for this equation you must calculate the standard enthalpy change of the given reaction. Okay, suppose you know the standard enthalpies of formation of your reactant and all its products, then the standard enthalpy change of the given reaction, that is delta R H naught, is calculated using the general formula delta R H naught equal to sum of standard enthalpies of formation of all the products minus sum of standard enthalpies of formation of this reactant. Okay, now what are the products in this reaction? 1 mole of calcium oxide and 1 mole of carbon dioxide. So let us add the standard enthalpy of formation of calcium oxide with the standard enthalpy of formation of carbon dioxide. Okay, also we must not forget to multiply the standard enthalpy of formation of each product and reactant with its respective stoichiometric coefficient. So we write, what is the stoichiometric coefficient of calcium oxide? It is 1. Okay, and we multiply it with the standard enthalpy of formation of calcium oxide. Now what is the stoichiometric coefficient of carbon dioxide? It is also 1, and then we multiply it with the standard enthalpy of formation for carbon dioxide. Okay, now we subtract this and we write the stoichiometric coefficient of 1 for calcium carbonate, and we write the standard enthalpy of formation for calcium carbonate. Okay, now what we do is that on substituting the respective standard enthalpies of formation of each product and reactant and multiplying each of the reactant and product with its respective stoichiometric coefficient, that is 1, we have 1 into minus 635.1 kilojoule per mole plus 1 into minus 393.5 kilojoule per mole minus 1 into minus 1206.9 kilojoule per mole. On solving this, you get a value of 178.3 kilojoule per mole as the standard enthalpy change of this reaction. Okay. Since standard enthalpy of this reaction has a positive sign, it indicates that decomposition of calcium carbonate is an endothermic process and that we have to heat it for getting the desired products. Okay, let us do an example problem. Calculate the standard enthalpy change for the reaction. Methane reacts with 2 moles of oxygen to produce carbon dioxide and 2 moles of water. Given that the standard enthalpies of formation of methane, carbon dioxide and water are minus 74.8 kilojoule per mole, minus 393.5 kilojoule per mole and minus 285.8 kilojoule per mole respectively. So now we are asked to calculate the standard enthalpy change for this reaction. Okay, so the enthalpies of formation of all the reactants and products are given. So we can substitute all these in the general formula for calculating the standard enthalpy of reaction, enthalpy change of the reaction, which is delta R H naught equal to sum of standard enthalpies of formation of the products minus sum of standard enthalpies of formation of reactants. Okay, so what are the products in this reaction? 1 mole of carbon dioxide and 2 moles of water. So let us add the standard enthalpy of formation of carbon dioxide with the standard enthalpy of formation of water. Also, you must not forget to multiply the standard enthalpy of formation of each product and reactant with its respective stoichiometric coefficient. So we write, what is the stoichiometric coefficient of carbon dioxide? It is 1. Okay, and we multiply it with the standard enthalpy of formation of carbon dioxide. Now what is the stoichiometric coefficient of water? It is 2, and then we multiply it with the standard enthalpy of formation of water. Okay, so these are the products and we have added both. Minus what is the stoichiometric coefficient of methane? It is 1. Okay, so we write 1 and multiply it with the standard enthalpy of formation for methane. And we have oxygen. How many moles of oxygen are there? 2. So we write 2 and then multiply it with the standard enthalpy of formation for oxygen. On substituting the standard enthalpy of formation of each product and reactant, we have 1 into minus 393.5 kilojoule per mole plus 2 into minus 285.8 kilojoule per mole minus of 1 into minus 74.8 kilojoule per mole plus 2 into 0. Note that the standard enthalpy of formation of oxygen is 0 since it is in its reference state. And remember, when an element is in its reference state, its standard enthalpy of formation is assigned a value of 0. Okay, now on solving this, you get an answer of minus 890.3 kilojoule per mole. Okay, since it has a negative sign, this indicates that combustion of methane in oxygen is an exothermic process. Clear? So, with this, I wind up part 2 of my video on enthalpy. Thank you for watching and don't forget to come back for the video on the remaining types of enthalpy of reactions.